What's up, guys? Welcome back. I am here with Tomasz Poszytek. What's up, Tomasz? How you doing, buddy?
I'm fine, thank you. It's been better, but well, so far so good.
Yeah,
still healthy.
your toilet paper situation's doing fine in the quarantine?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that. All right, so if you guys haven't seen Tomasz before, he's been on the channel a couple of times. Go ahead and check the description. I got a bunch of links for him there, his Twitter, his YouTube. He's trying to grow his following there, so make sure and follow him after you check out this stuff. But without further ado, Tomasz, why don't you tell everyone, what are you going to share with us today?
Right, so for those of you who somehow follow me, you know that I'm really covering a lot of topics and writing a lot about adaptive cards. And I mean, it's not a recent functionality, but it's somehow today more available because, I mean, the first time we saw, okay, I'm going to talk about templating, adaptive cards templating.
Okay.
So it's not that very new because the templating language that is one of the pillars of templating is with us, like I think since July or August 2019. So it's only a year. But now it became somehow more, or it will become very soon more known because there are two new actions in Power Automate that actually allows us to use the templating language in them. So it's really, I mean, they're in preview, so very soon they will become public and then we'll all be able to start playing around with templating.
Yep.
So let me just share my screen.
You're talking about for a selected message, right? The new Teams action that's coming.
No, I'm talking about posting an adaptive card to Microsoft Teams and waiting for the response.
Okay.
So there are two. One is to the user, one is for the channel.
Got it.
And
okay, cool.
Let me just show you. This is something also I will show during the short demo. So anyway, that's the documentation for the templating. And you see that there are like three pillars here, the templating language, SDK, and service. So the point, I mean, the general idea behind that is you create just one adaptive card, you put there like placeholders, and then you provide data in a JSON format that is being taken and put instead of those placeholders at the moment when the card is being generated.
Yeah.
So when talking about, for example, Power Automate, and what we were used to was that when you wanted to make a dynamic card, you had to take the code and then put outputs from previous actions somewhere in that code, which was quite messy. And with templating language, you can actually put those variables inside the code. And then there is a new interface for providing data for these variables. So it is much more flexible and user-friendly in the same time. Plus, you can store those templates somewhere in your repository, company repository, and then simply use them when you need them. And you can use the same template across multiple scenarios and just provide different data. So you don't have to actually every time put those outputs, dynamic outputs inside the code. So it's much more flexible and it gives you, yeah, I mean, it's
similar to other templating systems. This is just going to give us a framework that we can make these adaptive cards reusable, right? And then we can store them in different places. We can share them, but this is going to make us a clean way to make it so we don't have to make a brand new adaptive card for every single thing.
Right. So the point is that there is already a GitHub repository from Matt Hillinger for the templates.
Nice.
It is. Yeah, I mean, this is dedicated mostly for the templating service I will talk about later. But the point is that there are today some groups of templates pre-created by them. And I think at a certain moment of time, this will be really open to community so that anyone from community will be able to create their own templates and just contribute there. Plus, we talked that maybe it is also a good idea to allow companies to create their own private repositories where they could store their company-related templates with their UI, with their layouts, and so on. So
definitely,
that's kind of. Plus, what they're also working on is these card author services, which is like an application you can get from GitHub and install in your Azure services, which should be like an interface for your adaptive cards created inside the company. There will be a space to browse the gallery of the adaptive cards, to share them, to collaborate on them together in team, and then to use them directly, for example, in Power Automate from that repository. So nice. Things are going on around this technology, and it's quite impressive. Now, if you remember the adaptive cards designer that we had, like in the beginning of this year, I think even, there used to be a smiling face of Matt Hittinger and his details and some other data. And today, when you open the designer, there is already this adaptive card templating in place. So it is, as you can see, full of those curly brackets and placeholders. And there is also the sample data on the right side. And then once I switch from the design into the preview, you can see the old card that we've been used to see when we were accessing the designer. So that's the same. But the information is no more hard-coded, no more just like fixed inside the JSON, but it's taken from this data here. So if I change Matt Hittinger to, so you can see it's being live replaced. So that's the idea about the templating. So what I wanted to show about that is I have this small card that I built for a POC of an HR onboarding system. The point was that HR was inputting data to SharePoint, then this card was sent to a channel in Teams for IT. IT did their job, and in return, they had to provide the login, email, and whatever. And the action was waiting until their job was done. Once their job was done, once they hit the confirm button, the data from the form was taken or is taken to the SharePoint to complete the profile. So yeah, there is it. So that's just an easy thing. I'll just show you how it works. Don't bother those failed and canceled statuses. It should be working.
Okay.
One important thing about those actions that I want to show you is that not only they're in a preview, so not only the actions are sometimes not working properly, plus you also have to turn on these experimental features in Power Automate to actually see what I'm going to show you.
Okay.
Without that, you'll still see the old-fashioned huge field where you'll have the JSON code of an adaptive card without the templating interface.
So then let's just make sure everyone heard that. So number one, these are preview features. Number two, half of them are also experimental. So just keep that in mind if you want to play with this stuff. Preview and experimental. So this stuff is kind of use at your own risk.
It won't blow up, but yeah. So like yesterday, I noticed there are some things already not working. It used to be working, but yesterday it was not anymore. But I found a workaround anyway. So okay. Once you go into Microsoft Teams Actions and you type adaptive, there are those two new actions. So first one is post an adaptive card to Teams user and wait for a response. And the second one is to channel and wait for a response. So I'll play with the channel one. And now that's what I'm talking about. Here you have the keys and values. This is just the regular templating. And the templating language itself is much more advanced to what we can use here. So for example, we have loops, we have rules, we have formatting, and so on. So just to show you what is possible and what can't we still use in Flow, that's another adaptive card that I created just to check what is working, what is not. And the idea here is that we have, for example, a Power App with AI Builder that is recognizing the invoice and data from an invoice. And then it can just generate this adaptive card, send it to Teams to get an approval. So we have the information about the issuer, we have information about the invoice details, and then we also have the records here. Plus, if the brutto value is, for example, higher than $1,000, then I wanted to highlight this in red. If not, then green. Plus, I wanted this message warning to be shown only if the value is above 10,000, for example. So there you can see are already rules. Here is formatting for the dates. This is also kind of a repeating section. So we expect this is a table data. So we don't want to hard code, for example, 4 rows or 5 rows. I want it to be dynamic. And loops are also something that is already available in templating language, but yet not supported in Microsoft Teams. So what we can use in Microsoft Teams in this templating here, here, is unfortunately only those plain values, key value, no rules, no loops, no formatting, no scopes, and so on, so on. But this will be sometime soon available because
I don't know about soon, but it'll definitely be available.
Yeah, sometime in the future.
What is it? With the fullness of time.
So anyway, once I hit here preview, you can see that the information is being replaced. Here, the data from the table is also generated and multiplied. So the same row is shown 3 times. The value here is also shown because the total is above 10,000. And then, for example, if I change from, where is this value? Nope. Like from 13,000 to just 1,065, you can see that the information is now not, this message warning is not shown because the value is below. So that is something you can really do already. One also cool thing about templating is that there are scopes. So scope is something that you can provide a data inside an adaptive card and then use this scope as a reference. So from where the data should be shown, but also one of the scopes is a device scope. Then if you post such an adaptive card to an iPhone, for example, and you use this device scope, you would be able to read the device specific information like the operation system, browser name, and other things. And then you could also create rules based on that. So for example, show that, hey, iPhone user on an iPhone, and then, hey, Android user on an Android, which you won't be able to do from Power Automate, right?
Yeah, very interesting.
So there is a lot of cool things coming up. Anyway, back to the flow. So just to show you, if I change from experimental to, just give me a second. Oh, yeah, save it and reload. So if this is a regular, ordinary Power Automate without experimental features, this is just a regular field here, so no templating. But we want to use templating, so let's give it a try, how it works. Okie dokie. So once again,
I didn't expect that to work that fast, actually. I'm pretty impressed with how quickly those experimental features turn on and off.
I don't really know how many of them are there. But
I think there's 2 or 3, the designer, the teams thing, and then what's the other one? There's one more. I can't remember. I think there's 3.
I have no idea.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah, so anyway, so here is also the ability to replace the card with a confirmation one. Unfortunately, we can't use information from the user, but it's just like pre-created. And then the values, first name. Oops. So one thing that is not working here in this experimental feature is, for example, I can't click this icon here to drop down. I have to click Control Space to display this list of outputs. So there are issues, but that's experimental.
Control Space, that's good to know. I've always gotten mad when that wouldn't work. I didn't know that opened it up.
Right, Control Space, this opens you the drop down with outputs, and Control Shift Space Control Shift space? No. Control Alt space? Help me. Control Shift space, that should be working. Should open the expressions, but it doesn't work.
Huh.
Right. So now I need to save it. Okay, I also have to provide the JSON for adaptive card. So the thing that you have to be aware here is that these variables that I'm using are the ones that are going to be replaced from the templates, from the plating service language. So these are the keys, and they are going to be used to replace these values. Plus, if I want to read the data back from the form, I have to provide unique IDs. So this is going to be a key of a variable or an output that is going to be available after the action gets a response from the Flowbot. So they have to be unique. Just keep it in mind. And now, what I should be able to do, I should be able to read here data, so outputs from the previous action, but you know, it's not working. It used to be working, but it doesn't anymore. So there is no AC login. So what I have to do is to simply do a workaround, because I know there is a body response here. So I will just use a workaround. So that's the worst workaround ever. But
oh, this is painful.
I should have changed the name to something shorter. And then it's like body data, and that was AC user login, right?
Wow.
Something like that.
That's a hell of a string to know.
I just need to check the user login. So the point is that the data that is being returned has that kind of an output. I mean, this is whatever. So what you can see here is the response body that is going to be available once the user hits this confirm button on the adaptive card in Teams.
Okay.
So this is why I have to use the body data AC user login to get it.
Okay. That's a hell of a workaround.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to maybe fill all the values here, just those two. So you have this general feeling, how does it work? And now just let me open Teams somewhere separately. All right, so where's my SharePoint? There you go. So now once I create a new item, what should be my, maybe?
What should be what?
What should be my position in my own company? CEO, maybe.
CEO, you should be in your own company for sure.
All right, so this should now trigger. Okay, so it's running. So yep, and there is the adaptive card with the information taken from the SharePoint item.
Nice.
Workspace. So yet there is also no validation already available in Microsoft Teams, although it is somehow already implemented in version 1.2. But those things are coming. And now what I also don't like is that this confirmation message is just a regular non-customizable layout confirmation tile. So I can't change the logo, I can't change anything. So that sort of disturbs the user experience.
I'm sure that will come in the fullness of time as well.
So I hope this will complete soon. Oh, that's a weird thing. Why it was posted twice? Okay.
All right.
Haven't seen that previously.
Do you have another flow doing this from testing this out?
Possibly, yes. There is. Yeah, there have to be. Okay, that's a good point. Yeah. So anyway, that is created, and yeah, so my junk information is put back to the record.
Nice.
So it's completed by phone number, comment number. So that is basically how this templating language works and what you can do already with Power Automate and the templating language. So it's really good things are coming. Now, the second thing is templating SDK, which I don't want, and I can't showcase since I'm not a developer. And anyway, that's something you can put along with the regular Adaptive Cards SDK. So once you do create your own application, you code your JSON, your JavaScript, C#, whatever application, whatever SDK you're using. You can also use the Adaptive Cards templating SDK into, and then even create even more flexible cards, even more flexible layouts. So, but that's purely something for developers. And the last cool thing is Adaptive Cards service. And that is something really interesting because it somehow connects all those pillars together, because the service is basically used to browse your repository, or currently the GitHub repository, and then to say whether there is already an adaptive card template existing for the given JSON data or not. For example, if we switch again to Graph Explorer Preview, you can see that there is an adaptive cards tab here. That is something new. And then if you call Graph API to get the data, you can already visualize it in adaptive card. Plus, it is a service, so you can call it via the HTTP. How it works? Well, basically, what you have to do is to get this JSON data, put it into a request to templates.adaptivecards.io/find, and post it. And now guess what is going on in the back? There is a LUIS, so the language understanding intelligence service, that is simply trying to match the data you provided with the existing templates and then calculate this confidence. So then you get the response with all the templates that somehow matches the data. And what you have to do is to take this template URL and then in the second request to post it to this URL. And then in return, service is given the adaptive card field with information. Cool, huh?
That is pretty cool.
If I do it by get, then in return, I'm just given the template, so the regular template. If post, I'm getting the template filled with the information I provided. So this is really cool.
That is very cool.
It's really cool. And what you can do with that? Today, you can just browse this repository of templates and wait to get maybe private repositories that you could use in the premises, but today it's just more like a huge POC or the MVP, maybe this minimum viable product. However, if you are aware with the URL that is called ak.ms/ac roadmap, or this one here, you can jump into the roadmap of an adaptive cards and everything that the team is working on right now. And here you can acknowledge that already the adaptive cards templating is somehow released as a preview. However, there are cool features upcoming. So the new built-in functions, the built-in operations, the more advanced validation, and hopefully the team will also implement all the all the templating language features in the teams, so that we'll be able really to use the full power of this technology. But so far, so good. Man. How did you like it?
That's awesome. That's very cool. Yeah, no, I think what I like about this is like we've done a lot on adaptive cards. You know, I've done a couple videos on it. You've done a whole lot, but I like that this is kind of future looking. Like, let's take a look at the latest little bits, and then let's take a look at what's coming. And you can see there, like, they're going to make a connector for the template service. They're going to take templating out of preview, and both of those are coming in Q2 2020. And so this was super, super cool. Thank you very much, Tomasz.
Just one thing, like, because the adaptive cards is not a part of our platform, it's not a part of Teams, it's just in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
Like it originated from Windows, right?
Yep.
And they have, I mean, I think it's difficult for them to talk to other teams and to really sell their ideas to, for example, Teams or maybe as well, even the Exchange team. So that the things that we can see here are already available, for example, in bot service, in Azure bot framework. Yep. They are already available in SDK. So if you are a programmer, as said, you can just take it as it is and use it along. But when us, like power users, are waiting for those features to be available in Power Automate or in other products that we are using as a power users, then unfortunately we have to wait until they talk to each other and then define the roadmap for the deployment and releases.
Yep.
But for us.
The good news is I know that they are working on that. Our teams are coming together. People are talking more, and so I'm pretty hopeful about this. This is awesome. So listen, guys, if you want to learn more about adaptive cards, if you would like to go back to the beginning and just get an intro to what this all is, if you want to see more about what adaptive cards can do, definitely go and check out Tomasz's YouTube channel. He has a whole bunch of videos on adaptive cards so that you can get your fill on that goodness. And then check out his Twitter as well. He's always tweeting about new content he's putting out and sharing stuff from other people in the community. So Tomasz, man, thanks so much for coming and hanging out. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. And one last thing is that if you're really interested in being really up to date in what's coming up to adaptive cards, what the team is working on, there is also this URL ak.ms/adaptive cards community call that downloads this ECS file. I don't know which direction to point, but this one here, that is a monthly call. It's the third Thursday each month, something like that. So
cool. I will put that link in the description as well.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right.
So
be sure to follow Tomasz. Tomasz, man, thanks for being on the show. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
All right. You guys know what to do. Click like, click subscribe, go follow Tomasz. Much love from me. I'll see you in the next one.
Bye.